All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our July 2024 meeting for the City of Troy Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Mike Bossenbrook. I'm the chair of the board. We have a couple items on the agenda tonight to consider, so we will get started. And we will start with the first item on our agenda printed out for us, and that's taking the roll. So, Mr. Evans, when you are prepared, if you could take the roll.
Mr. McCauley.
Here.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Here.
Mr. Kenkre.
Here.
Mr. Bossenbrook.
Here.
Mr. Fox.
Here.
Mr. Desmond.
Here.
Mr. Green.
Here.
All right, great. Good to have a full board tonight. Let's move on to our second item, which is the reading for our statement of procedure. And when Mr. Desmond is prepared, if you could read our statement of procedure.
The Zoning Board of Appeals is a group of 7 of your neighbors appointed by the Troy City Council to decide on requests for variances and other matters that are brought before them. A variance is a relaxation of the literal provisions of the zoning ordinance. Applicants must indicate a hardship or practical difficulty with the land that would warrant the granting of the variance. The board will hear items in the order that they appear on the approved agenda. When an item is called, the chairperson will verify that the applicant is present. Then the city administration will summarize the facts of the case. If there is less than a full board of 7 members present at a meeting, an applicant may request a postponement so his or her request can be heard by a full board. If there is no request for postponement, the applicant will then be given an opportunity to address the board to explain the justification for the action requested. After the applicant makes their presentation and answers any questions that the board may have, the chairperson will open the public hearing. Any person wishing to speak on the request should raise their hand, and when recognized by the chairperson, come up to the podium. The speaker should then identify themselves with name and address, indicate their relationship to the property in question, i.e. next door neighbor, live behind property, etc., and state whether they are in favor of or against the variance request and give reasons for their opinion. Comments must be directed through the chairman. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and closely pertain to the matter under consideration. Only one person will be recognized by the chairperson to speak at one time. At the conclusion of public comments, the chairperson will close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no public comment will be taken unless in response to a specific question by a member of the board. The board will then make a motion to approve, deny, or postpone the request. In order for the request to pass, a minimum of 4 votes are needed. If the request is not granted, the applicant has the right to appeal the board's decision to Oakland County Circuit Court.
All right, thank you, Mr. Desmond. Let's move on to our third item, which is approving the minutes from our meeting in June last month. Unless there's any discussion for the minutes as printed, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Fox, and seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Green. Unless there's further discussion, we have a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Evans?
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Yes.
Mr. Desmond.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Fox.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley.
Yes.
Mr. Bossenbrook.
Yes.
Mr. Kenkre.
Yes.
All right, minutes are approved. Now we'll move on to our fourth item on the agenda tonight, which is approving the agenda as we've had it printed out for us. Any discussion from members of the board? I guess I will suggest one item. I don't know if members of the board have opinions about this. I don't believe, unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe the applicant for item A is here. Okay, never mind. I am mistaken. Never mind. So we will go ahead and we do have someone from both for both cases tonight. So scratch that. We will go ahead and approve then the agenda as printed for tonight, and then we will move on to the fifth item. We'll hear our cases. We have 2 cases, A and B, and we will start with 233 Nottingham, which was previously heard by us in May and was rescheduled for us to hear it again tonight. So, Mr. Evans, do you want to go ahead and present this item for us to start?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do have a presentation up on the monitors. This is a subject property of 233 Nottingham, and this is a variance request to allow a proposed home addition to be constructed 38.34 feet from the rear property line, where the zoning ordinance requires the addition to be set back 45 feet from the rear property line. Now, this is a aerial map with property lines shown of the neighborhood. Long Lake Road is on the south. We have Crooks Road, Livernois here to the left, and the subject property is located in this red circled area here. I'll continue to zoom in on the subject property. And the subject property and all the surrounding property is zoned single-family residential. Now, you can see I put an arrow there, and this is the location of the addition that they're going to propose. They're going to tear whatever's there down now and put something new up. These are some elevations of the proposed structure. A side view and a view from the backyard. And this is their survey. And just to show everybody exactly what they're asking for, it looks to be a 13-foot by 23-foot structure. And if approved by the board, the result will be that they're 41.34 feet from the back property line, as opposed to the ordinance required 45. Now, this matter, as the chair indicated, was heard by the board in May, and at that time, they requested a different configuration building, which was actually proposed to be closer to the rear property line, and based on board comments, the applicant agreed to reconfigure it so it had a reduced setback. And so they're back here with their reduced plan tonight. So I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Evans. Any questions for city staff? Yes, Mr. Pacali.
So the original application was 38.34 feet, and this is the updated one at 41 point.
Yeah, I switched it. The original was 38.34. This is the original site plan from May.
Okay.
And now they've reduced the amount of variance they need by, 3 or 4 feet, it looks like.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
All right, any other questions from the board? Seeing none, we will invite at this point the applicant or their representative if they want to come forward, identify yourself. Sorry, I didn't see you earlier.
It's okay.
You could speak into the microphone, identify yourself, and present your case.
Well, the gentleman from the Porsche Company is not here, obviously. I've been waiting for him. I'm Linda Heinlein. John Heinlein, my husband, was here last time. He got called away out of town. He's currently in Canada. I can FaceTime him if we need to. But yeah, we came in 3 feet and went longer the long way across the house, like requested, without covering the dining room window. So we're hoping that you approve that. Hopefully the Porsche guy shows up.
Okay.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
So the thing we had discussed last time with your husband is making it so it still fits your primary use, which was the hot
Yeah.
tub. So that's meets the primary use and
Yes.
that's the minimum then that you'd need?
Yeah, so we'll have a few feet around it so that if we have to work on it or anything, then we can have that room, and that it won't be so close to our current door wall that we can't, get around it or let the dogs out and stuff like that. So we needed, we just would rather have gone out instead of over, but we adjusted to make it go over instead of out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate this. All right. At this point, I will open up the public hearing. I don't believe we have any correspondence regarding this, Mr. Evans?
No correspondence.
Okay. So then I will close the public hearing.
Sorry about that.
Well, we could take it out of order if you want to come up, sir.
Or Nottingham.
Yes, yep, we're in the middle of hearing Nottingham, so if you want to, the homeowner already spoke, but if there's anything else, if you want to identify yourself and speak in the microphone and anything, specific regarding the revisions. I think you were here in May, correct?
Another member of my staff is here
Okay.
in May. My name's Steve McFall. I'm from Waynecraft in Livonia. I was over visiting 233 Nottingham earlier today. I took some measurements to kind of explain what the scenario is for this particular house. Basically, when you're looking at the yard and you're looking at the back of the house, there's going to be a picture that shows like where the electric meters are. If you could reference that picture, I want to give you some dimensions that are relevant. So if you look at this awning, that awning starts about 3.5 feet in from the left side where the driveway is, and then it extends 12 feet to the right. Underneath that awning is a 6-foot patio door. Now, our proposed sunroom, which is like a Florida room, starts on the left side of the house where the brick is. From that brick to the patio door is about 76 inches. From the patio door to that window right there, the first double hung window, it's about 148 inches. That's the proposed area to the left of that center window to the edge of the house. One of the practical difficulties I would see with putting any type of, if it's a hot tub or a table or anything in there, is that's the only door out of the back of the house. If you shove a hot tub in there that, say it's a 7-foot hot tub, 5-person hot tub, which is nominally about 90 inches, you're not going to have any way to get out of the back of that house without doing some gymnastics to get over it. Even if you throw in like a standard 3.5 by 5.5 like picnic table, if you have people my size sitting on both ends, you're going to need about 8.5 by 9.5 walking space to go around it, even bigger if it's a circle. So if you were to try to accessorize like an enclosed sunroom in that space, that would be difficult for the homeowner just to get in and out of the house. If you were to put a door to the left, it wouldn't really work because you'd have to go through the table or the tub. Realistically, in terms of planning where it should go, there's a brick area between the window and that door that's about 148 inches. If you were to put either a table or a tub there, you would be able to, get out the door. One of the reasons we can't go any further to the right is the electric meter, and one of the reasons that the only place that hot tub could exist is because you need a spa disconnect no closer than 5 feet from it. If you have 90 inches from that edge of the window to the left towards the door, you would be putting the disconnect in there, and there's not a good spot. You just can't put a disconnect in the door, and you can't put it up at the ceiling height. There's a certain height off the floor that you need to maintain. So a realistic spot for the disconnect would be to the left of the patio door and to the right of the edge of the house. In terms of trying to place it in other places on this house, we can't enclose the electric meters. We can't cover bedroom windows. That's a fire code where you can't exit a room or a bedroom into another room. So realistically, there's not another spot in the house that we could put that type of structure that would be able to conform to those criteria. So when I was over there, I just tried to find out if there was another way. And, I did want to say thank you for your May meeting minutes. I was able to watch that a couple weeks ago, and I did watch it to the end. The attention to detail that you guys have when it comes to zoning and the procedures, it was great to watch, and it was actually quite informative. Thank you, Mr. Eisenbacher, for that recommendation. But that was kind of what I wanted to show on this. It doesn't really show, without telling you the spaces there and what would fit, it doesn't really show you how difficult it is to put anything on the back of that house. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you.
All right, thank you for that additional detail. Any other questions, Mr. McCauley?
So the resubmitted proposal of 41 feet, that works for you?
Yeah.
Setback?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the picture, the 41 feet is from the wall out to the end of the awning. So that's the overhang of the roof. If we're looking at from the footprint, like where the actual concrete foundation would go, it's about 12 feet. So you're going to be asking for, realistically from the lot line to the edge of that sunroom, if it's a 12-foot wall, it's 2.5-ish feet.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know if you count overhangs into your setbacks.
Thank you. That's very good.
And any other questions?
Any other questions? Not seeing anything? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, well, we have also concluded the public hearing and had no public comment. So we will move on to our discussion among the board to consider the variance request as revised by the applicant, Mr. Fox.
Just on the topic of exceptional characteristics about the property, I know that as it's currently presented, this request doesn't interact with the unusual shaped portion of the lot. However, I think it should be taken into consideration that that does severely limit where around the property this could be added. Like basically that whole eastern side, based on the unusual shape of the property, they wouldn't be able to slide it around or try to move it. So I think that should be taken into consideration while we're going through this.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Or a pending motion? And Mr. Eisenbacher.
I would like to move the resolution for approval, and I'm trying to get to the page with the resolution criteria. The exceptional characteristic for the property which the variance is sought is the placement of the house and the slightly irregular shape of the house. Characteristic for which the compliance with dimensional requirements is difficult is related to this premises for B. For C, is not of a personal nature. It's very common to have a sunroom in that neighborhood and throughout the city. D, characteristic which makes the compliance difficult, was not created by a current owner or the previous owner. And E, the proposed variance will not be harmful or alter the essential character of the area, etc. It's not larger in length than the current patio or overhang gazebo, and it's still it's a much reduced variance request from what was originally presented to the board.
Second.
All right, I'll give the tie to Mr. Desmond.
All right, yes,
It was close. It was close.
Playing favorites.
whatever.
All right. So motion for Mr. Eisenbacher to approve, seconded by Mr. Desmond. Any further discussion from members of the board, or I think it looks like we're ready to vote?
I think we need to be clear on what your variance is, because what has stated in the agenda is the 38.34. What they're asking for is the updated 41.34. I think your resolution needs to be clear on that.
So could we do an amendment to Mr. Eisenbacher's resolution to,
Clarify.
Okay, Mr. Green.
I move that we amend the resolution from Mr. Eisenbacher to alter the verbiage on the variance from the printed 38 odd to the updated 41 point,
34.
0.34, pardon, yeah.
And I've got it on the screen so you
Oh,
can have a look at that too.
apologies. Yes, thank
Yep,
you.
Just so you have a comfort level.
To the newly requested 41.34 feet.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Mr. Green, seconded by Mr. Eisenbacher to amend the motion to state, basically substituting 38.34 feet for instead 41.34 feet.
Got it.
All right, let's vote on the motion to amend first, and then go back to the original. So this is the motion to amend. And
Mr. McCauley,
yes?
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Kenkre,
Yes.
Mr. Bossenbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Desmond,
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And thank you to City Council, for our city staff for pointing that out. Appreciate keeping us honest. Okay, now we have the motion as amended before us. That's now the main motion. So we are prepared to vote on the main motion as amended. Mr. Evans.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Desmond,
Yes.
Mr. Bossenbrook,
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Mr. Kenkre.
Yes.
All right, motion, the variance request has been granted by motion as amended. So thank you, folks, for coming out. Appreciate it. That will bring us then to item B, 5B, which is the variance request for 219 Webb. So Mr. Evans, when you're prepared, please walk us through this variance request.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and this is a variance request to allow a proposed home addition. And there's a couple of requests in this one. The first one is to be set back 25.26 feet from the front property line, where the zoning ordinance requires the setback of 40 feet from the front property line, and also to be set back 5.55 feet from the side property line, where the zoning ordinance requires a setback of 10 feet from the side property line. Again, we have the aerial of the neighborhood here, and this is, neighborhood is west of Livernois, north of Waddles, east of I-75. The subject property on Webb is outlined in red. I'll continue to zoom in and get closer to a better view. Everything in yellow that you see there indicates single-family zoning. That's the close-up of the property as it exists. The applicants provided a rendering of what the proposed addition will look like, and here's their site plan. I'll zoom in here. And at the top is Webb, and the hatched area is the new part. So I'm going to outline it here with this pointer. So what they're doing is they're going up, and then parts of the front are coming out, the porch and a cantilevered portion. So relative to the variances requested, there's the proposed or requested front setback of 25.26. And over here, we have 5.55 feet for the side setback, which should be 10 feet. Now, we've researched the history of this property, and the subject house is non-conforming. So when it was built with the existing setback, it complied with whatever codes the city had in place now. So that would explain why this house is notably closer to the street than many on the block, as well as what the ordinance requires today. So I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Do you happen to know when it was built?
The assessing records show 1956. I don't know if it was actually built then, or was that just the first city assessing record that they created because the city became a city in 56.
Yeah, so same year the original zoning would have been put in place.
Right.
Mr. Fox.
I know I saw this in the packet, but do you mind just clarifying how far is the house currently from the side setback?
Let's see. I don't think they're going any closer than what's there now.
Okay, so they're not going any closer to what they already
Just
currently.
up the same distance away.
Mr. McCauley.
The same with the front setback, I mean, there's already a porch in that in place?
No, so the portion, so they're put, a second-story cantilever as well as the porch is going to be added onto the front of the house closer than what's there now. Let me see if I can try to illustrate it here. So this porch, with the roof here, and then this cantilevered part out here. I might even have some other area, let me see if I have some other renderings in the,
So
yeah, so here's a side view right here. So to the left is the front. So this part's coming out, this part's coming out, and this part's new. Okay,
so what is the size of that porch?
now let's take a look. It's like 5 feet by 23 feet, according to this document.
And that would put it at the 25 feet away from what?
The front property line,
Okay, yeah, from property, okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Currently, it's 30.
Yeah, Mr. Green.
Am I reading this correctly? I think it's page 37 in the packet. The cantilever, the addition there would be 2 feet deeper into the setback out the front. Is that accurate?
Well, according to this note, 24-inch upper cantilever.
2 feet?
And we can always ask the applicant to confirm this information, but that's what it looks like to us.
Yeah.
Mr. Fox?
I guess just to state it for clarity's sake. So currently it's a house that is non-conforming, that is 30 feet into the setback when it should be, the house is 30 feet setback from the front when it should be 40. And then the house is currently 5 feet setback from the side when it should be 10. So the only thing that's changing from the current layout of the house would be that it'd be going from 30 in the front to 25.26 in the front.
Right, but
Okay.
also, and everything's on the second story, so those portions are encroaching into the setback.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Green?
And just to follow up on that, the steps, those don't count in setback requirements. I see the proposed porch is 5 feet, approximately the cantilever is 2. The steps come further off of the proposed porch. I assume those don't count?
No, those wouldn't count.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Any other questions for city staff? All right, not seeing any. All right, at this point, we would invite the applicant forward or their representative. Just step up to the podium, and if you could identify yourself, and we obviously have the written materials, but anything else you wish to add to your variance request, we'd be happy to hear it.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Murphy from 219 Webb. I guess I don't really have anything else to add. You guys pretty much covered it all. The only thing that I would have to say is that the lot is only 90 feet wide and it's supposed to be 100. That's why the side would only be 5.5 instead of, I would assume it would be 10 feet if it was 100 feet wide. Yeah, that's about it.
Mr. Eisenbach, you have a question?
I see in your, in the letter you wrote to us for the characteristic, you said that the house was built in 1956. That's what you have in your records?
That was what was on the deed when we purchased the house, yes.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Desmond.
I just have a comment to throw in that the public record that I just looked up from the county is 1956. So it's verified a few different ways.
Any other questions for the applicant? I don't see any other questions, so thank you, sir. Appreciate your time up here.
Thank you.
And at this point, we will open up the public record, public hearing. I don't believe we have anything written, Mr. Evans, for this.
We do not.
I don't see anyone coming forward who wishes to speak. So we'll go ahead and close the public record and bring it back to the board for discussion and possible resolution. Mr. Green, you're okay.
I'm waffling.
You're hesitating. Okay. Mr. Eisenbacher.
Just to state into the record, I see the hardship is the house was built in a prior zoning ordinance, and in order to improve the look of the house, instead of just being a flat front face, you put a feature on, and feature of only 5 feet deep is about the width of the minimum width you can do anything useful. It's not excessive. He's not encroaching at all into the sides, making either of the sides closer. So I see it as very modest and practical based on the floor plans that he shows and he submitted. It's not excessive. He's not doing big giant rooms. It's just accommodating the needs of a family.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Green.
I think we may need the property owner again. I have a question about, I'm looking at it now and the trees on the property. I'm not sure how that's going to be addressed.
If the applicant would like to step forward, I think a member of the board has a question, if you're willing. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you. So looking at the property, it looks like there are, one may be not impacted, 1 or 2 trees that would have to be minimum trimmed, possibly taken down in order to to bump out the cantilever and the front of the house.
The
Is that
tree in the
accurate?
front of the house?
The tree in the front of the house and some sort of evergreen right at the corner. Is that accurate or?
There's only one tree in the front of the house right now,
Got an old
currently.
photo, okay. And that wouldn't be impacted by this at all?
No.
Okay. That's all, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fox.
I'd like to offer a motion. I would like to motion that we grant the variance to 25.26 feet in the front setback and is it 5.55 or just 5 feet?
0.55.
5.55 feet for the side setback. Going through the statement of practical difficulty, the unusual characteristic of the property is that the house was built under a previous set of zoning ordinances, and making any alterations to the house would have to come through the ZBA, is my understanding. Characteristics which make the compliance must be related to the premises. They are related to the premises. It's not related to a neighbor. Item C, it is not of a personal nature. This is just how the house was built. Difficult must not be created by a current or previous owner. They're not. The house was built in '56 before the zoning ordinance applied. Proposed variance will not be harmful or alter the essential character of the area. I think Mr. Eisenbacher said it best. It's a modest encroachment on the existing nonconformity. So it's a reasonable addition.
All right, motion on the table. Any second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Green seconds it. Any further discussion? No?
No.
I think the only thing I would add in agreement to the motion is for the exceptional characteristics, just the fact that, as the applicant stated, and I think he states it in item D, that it's only a 90-foot wide lot when the now standard is 100 feet, which I think also impacts the reasonableness of the, at least the requested variance to the side. So I think that's just an additional characteristic that's exceptional to the property. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Evans, on a motion to grant.
Mr. Kencrey.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Fox.
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher.
Yes.
Mr. Desmond.
Yes.
Mr. Bossenbrook.
Yes. Okay, motion to grant the variance has been approved. So that brings us to the end of our hearing of cases. Thank you for coming out as well for that matter, which will bring us to item 6. Any communications?
No communications.
Any miscellaneous business? Nothing's listed?
No, just that we do have one matter to hear at our August meeting, so the August meeting will be occurring.
Okay. Any public comment? All right, no public comment. All right, we will then be adjourned, and we will see everyone in August.